Okay, explaining how a salt system works. Well, you have a transformer that connects to the salt cell. You may see different ones. Jandy has one, Pentair has one, some other products. It basically has a bunch of blades inside, and current hits those blades. And if the salinity level is correct in the water, this is plumbed in line, it'll actually bubble off the blades, and when it reaches past the cell, it's shooting out liquid chlorine, and these valves go straight to the pool. So basically, you're making chlorine right here on site. You don't have to buy tablets, bags of shock. You don't have to store them anywhere. You don't have to pick them up because you're making it right here. This thing makes chlorine. People will say, well, I have a salt pool. It's not a chlorine pool. It is a chlorine pool. It actually makes liquid chlorine, sodium hypochlorite, right into your pool and injects it. So as long as the salinity level actually tells you where it wants it to be. Let's take this off here. It actually tells you on here it should be 3,600 parts per million. Well, if you don't have salt in your pool yet, you roughly need about 600 to 800 pounds of salt initially to put in to get it to that range. If this gets below 2,800 salinity level parts per million, it actually shuts down. It won't actually produce chlorine, but it has to be in range. 2,800 to 4,000 is the parameters. So basically, if you have the right salinity in the pool, the sodium passes through here, injects it through the valves, and then into the pool. Well, some people say, well, when I test for chlorine, I'm not getting a good reading, but my pool is perfect. Well, that's because the chlorine is actually reverting back to sodium again so fast that you can't test for it. It's there, the pool's perfectly clear, but you can't actually get a chlorine reading. If you want that chlorine reading to be higher, you have to increase the stabilizer level, the CYA level. Your recommended range for CYA is 50 to 75 parts per million. Also, when you go back to the cell, you could actually control how much chlorine you want to produce. There's actually production levels here. Well, I want to produce 40% chlorine here. 40%. If you have a bigger pool, this will actually is rated for 40,000 gallons. If I had a bigger pool and I put it to 100, that's almost like shocking it. Constantly producing more chlorine. So as long as your salinity level is right, you could change the salt. You could put this system on a fiberglass pool, vinyl liner pool, plaster pool. You put the salt in the pool. This passes through, makes chlorine for you, injects it back into the pool, and it constantly does that. So if you want to go on vacation, peace of mind, as long as that pump is running and water's going through it, it's producing chlorine. It's kind of a no-brainer. It does produce a high pH of a 9 or 10. So you want to also, liquid chlorine is pretty much high in pH ratio. So you want to make sure you knock it down with muriatic acid. I tell people, rule of thumb, half a gallon each week, or 1 gallon every 2 weeks. It seems like that's the standard rule of thumb. If you miss a week, just put the whole gallon in. If it's weekly, just put a half a gallon in. You still have to, people say, well, I don't have to do anything to my pool. You still have to test pH, calcium, total alkalinity. You can test for free and total chlorine, metals. Everything else is exactly the same. The only thing that salt cell does is make liquid chlorine for you. So this cell back here just makes liquid chlorine, but it's very clean. If this cell goes bad, you can find this on Amazon or eBay. Buy a new cell, unscrew the unions, and put a new one on and plug it in. This should last you 6 to 7 years. Now, if Mer-Man installs it, it's a 3-year warranty. You get 3 years on the salt cell. It should last you 6, 7 years. I've seen them last. The more production you use, the less life you'll have on the cell. However, you're still making it. I don't have to put any tablets or shock it. Like I said, very easy to maintain, but you do have to keep an eye on the pH. And you make sure your stabilizer levels in 50 to 75 parts per million. And there's other videos on how to add salt, how to test salt. There's certain kits you could buy, and also how to brush the salt in the pool. Just check out those other videos for that.